Find out what are the best days to get pregnant. If you have decided that the time has come to give birth, it is essential that you know the fertile days of your menstrual cycle. This way, your chances of conceiving will multiply. If you are planning to get pregnant, congratulations. You have decided to have the greatest love experience of your life. Knowing the fertile days of your menstrual cycle is essential to maximize your chances of conceiving. Between one period and the next, there are 3 to 5 days that offer the right conditions to get pregnant. These fertile days must coincide with the day of ovulation. This will be easier to calculate in women with a regular menstrual cycle, and more complex in those with an irregular menstrual cycle. How does the menstrual cycle work? A regular menstrual cycle lasts 28 days, but this is not the case in all women. Cycle length and regularity will indicate which days are fertile. Your menstrual cycle begins on the first day of your period and ends the day before your next period. The menstrual cycle has 4 phases. Knowing these phases will help you establish your fertility calendar. Menstrual phase. At the start of the menstrual cycle, sex hormones are at their lowest. The menstruation occurs because there was no fertilized eggs implantation. This phase lasts about 5 days if you have a regular menstrual cycle, or as long as your period lasts. From the first day of your period, you can start counting. Follicular phase. This phase occurs from the first day your period has subsided until around the 13th day. The follicle-stimulating hormone begins to be secreted and stimulates the ovary to develop one of the 500,000 follicles which contain the eggs at different stages of maturation. The endometrium also prepares to receive the egg if it fertilizes. The endometrium is the mucous layer that lines the inside of the uterus. It thickens during the menstrual cycle to allow the fertilized egg to implant and begin the desired pregnancy. Ovulation phase. Around the 14th day, the egg leaves the ovary and travels to the uterine tube or fallopian tubes. Luteinizing hormone LH is responsible for ovulation. The pituitary gland generates an increase in LH and ovulation is triggered when the egg has reached full maturity. Fertile days are those close to ovulation. If you have unprotected sex during these days, your chances of getting pregnant increase. The released egg stays in the fallopian tubes waiting for the sperm for 12 to 24 hours. Luteal phase. After the egg is released, the luteal phase, also called post-ovulatory, begins. On the 15th day, the follicle from which the egg was released begins to produce estrogen and progesterone. This follicle is then called the corpus luteum. Progesterone thickens the endometrium as a result of increased blood supply. As a result, the endometrium prepares to receive the egg. If it has been fertilized, implantation takes place, which triggers pregnancy. A new life has started. But if the egg has not been fertilized, the corpus luteum disappears, estrogen and progesterone decrease, the endometrium loses the tissue that has formed, and new menstruation occurs after 28 days. What are the best days to get pregnant? Ovulation is the most fertile time for a woman. Fertile days are therefore that preceding ovulation as well as the 2 following it. In other words, each menstrual cycle has an average of 3 to 5 days, a maximum of 7, during which the chances of getting pregnant are high. We can also say that the fertile days are between the 13th and 15th days, no later than the 17th day of the menstrual cycle. However, not all menstrual cycles are the same. One of the mysteries lurking in a woman's body is the day of ovulation. Even if you have a regular menstrual cycle, it is difficult to know the exact day of ovulation. Ovulation tests can measure the LH surge, which is a great indicator. Once released, the egg has a lifespan of 12 to 24 hours. This is a very short time during which the sperm must arrive to perform the miracle of fertilization. What is the best day to get pregnant? Your chances of conceiving increase when you have sex 1 or 2 days before and on the day you ovulate. This way there will be a good number of sperm waiting for the egg to be released into the fallopian tubes. As in this wonder of creating life, you are not alone. Let's also talk about the others responsible for fertilization, the sperm. These have a lifespan inside the vagina of only 20 to 30 minutes if they are deposited outside of a woman's ovulatory period. If the woman is in the follicular phase, the vaginal pH is below 6, which is fatal for the sperm. On the other hand, during the ovulatory phase, the pH of the vagina goes from 7 to 7.5. Thus, the sperm can live between 2 to 16 hours, during which they must pass into the uterus. Once they reach the fallopian tubes, they can live for 24 to 48 hours while waiting for the release of the mature egg. There are cases where semen can live up to 5 days after intercourse, but this is not common. So there is no doubt that every pregnancy is an extraordinary miracle of life.